Okay, hello everybody. This is our Lunch and Learn presentation for privacy and boundaries. My name is Madison Parker. I am one of the Peak project consultants. Okay, so get started with some objectives for our time together today. So first we'll do a brief overview of privacy and boundaries, and then we're going to look at privacy relative to both cores in domain 3, which is the home environment core. So we'll examine what privacy looks like in resident bedrooms, which is core 1 for domain 3, and then resident use space, which is core 2. So we'll have a few other considerations to look at when it comes to privacy and boundaries. Then we'll wrap up with some reminders. So privacy and boundaries obviously go hand in hand. We enjoy privacy and boundaries in our own personal homes, like only allowing certain people in, closing doors when we need to get away from others, etc. So oftentimes it's a big fear that this will be lost when moving into a nursing home, but this certainly doesn't have to be the case. So thinking about the privacy practices that you have in the home that you work in, um, think about what might need change, collaborate with your team, but most importantly, talk to the residents about what they think might need changed when it comes to privacy and boundaries, because maybe there are certain things happening that you're not aware of. And resident preferences for privacy and boundaries can change daily. So overall, we want to ensure that we know the boundaries that are expected by our residents and that they're honored continually. So finally, all staff should be trained on your privacy expectations upon hire and then with your annual training. So here is the criteria for supporting practice number 1 in our resident bedroom core of privacy. So a resident's bedroom obviously is going to probably be their primary private space, and so we want the resident to have complete control of that area. Resident bedrooms should have the furniture arranged to promote as much privacy as possible. Obviously, this is very difficult in semi-private rooms, but sometimes rearranging furniture can help to promote privacy. So think about how you might place the bed so that it isn't directly visible from the hallway. We also want to consider our practices around entering resident rooms. So we all know best practice is to knock before entering, but is everyone following that process to knock before entering a resident room? Do we knock and enter immediately, or do we announce ourselves first and then wait for a response before entering? Sometimes it's easy just to get in that efficiency mindset and forget some of those little things. So examine those practices. And then we'll have a few examples here on the following slides. This is an example of a semi-private room looking from one side to the other. Obviously, not all semi-private rooms have the luxury of having this partial wall as this one does, but as you can see, the beds are positioned in a way so that you can't directly see the other resident's bed when looking from one side of the room to the other. So one elder's bed is to the right of the dresser that you're looking at, and one is to the right of the person taking the photo. So this is another semi-private room. In the left, you can see that in the left photo, you can see that neither bed is directly visible from the hallway until you do step into the room, as seen in the photo on the right. So, this one, obviously, only a curtain is available as far as dividing between the two sides of the room. So just kind of getting creative with furniture placement. And then this is a photo of a private room. So the person taking the picture is positioned slightly inside the room, but you can see that if you were standing a bit farther back in the hallway, you aren't looking directly to the bed compared to, for example, if the bed was positioned on that far back wall, your line of sight from the hallway would be directly to the bed. And this, we do want to emphasize, is not a requirement that you aren't able to see the bed from the hall or from the other side of the semi-private room, but really just we want there to be mindfulness when it comes to furniture placement if there is any way to promote privacy by arranging furniture. So now here's the criteria for the first supporting practice in our resident use space core, which is private space. So this looks more out at the spaces outside of the bedroom and the common areas of the home. So when it comes to the shared spaces in your home, it's important to have a variety of options for different activities. So if your home doesn't have extra rooms that are designated specifically for different private activities, that's certainly okay. I know it is difficult, and especially smaller homes, if there aren't ample rooms available to designate for certain uses, spaces can certainly have multiple uses. So maybe a conference room can double as a room that the residents use for gathering or hosting family. There's oftentimes in a conference room a big long table with chairs, so that works perfectly as a big table to gather with family for a meal, things like that. Um, and then when we talk about bathing areas, so with shared spa rooms for bathing, consider not using those spaces for storage. So oftentimes when space is an issue, bathing areas become another place where staff might store things. So that would mean that staff would need to come into the bathing area to retrieve items at various times. So we just want to try to avoid that if possible, so that staff don't have to come and go while residents are using that area. However, privacy and boundaries go beyond just the bathing area itself, so that, spa room, shower room, we need to consider the entire bathing experience and ensure that elders have dignity from the moment in time when staff come to get them for their shower or bath, and then to the time when they're getting dressed afterward. So this means that they should always be fully clothed when being assisted to and from bathing areas, and then they may have other preferences too, such as staff staying behind a curtain when possible in the shower room, things like that. So lastly, we all need time to be alone, whether it be for phone calls, reading, prayer, or just to recharge. It's often difficult in nursing homes for elders to be able to get away, per se, and have space for solitude. So make sure your elders have somewhere to go for those types of things, and that they aren't being interrupted when they're using them. So I'd just like to point out with this that it's privacy and boundaries are partially about the physical space, but they're also partially about how we interact with that space and how staff honor that space. So are they keeping in mind what that space is being used for? That can make all the difference in terms of honoring residents' privacy. So some other things to consider are medication times. So when a resident is maybe hosting guests, sleeping, or doing something else private, think through the urgency of the medication at hand. So is it an urgent enough medication to interrupt or wake the resident? And some medications will be, certainly, but or is it a medication that can wait within that regulatory window, obviously. So we don't want to get so task focused that we don't think through these things before just, giving the medication to check it off our list. Is it something that could wait maybe a few minutes while a resident finishes up a private conversation with family, that type of thing. And then just to get us thinking, I'll provide a couple other examples. So when you're staying in a hotel, the staff don't generally, or I hope not ever, come into the room overnight to clean or to restock your towels while you're there. Probably not. So that wouldn't be a very enjoyable hotel. Not that we want our nursing homes to feel necessarily like a hotel. We want them to feel like home, but this is just something to consider when respecting the private space of another. Um, and on another note, when a UPS delivery person is bringing you a package, they don't just walk right into your house and set it on the counter. They leave it for you to come out and retrieve at your convenience. So another thing just to kind of get us thinking about mail and other deliveries and how we can honor residents' boundaries with those processes as well. Okay, so before wrapping up with announcements, more helpful information on this topic can be found in the Peak Guidebook, which is an interactive PDF on our website. You go to our website and go to the 2024-25 or updated guidebook. Um, and you can go to page 3, click on resident bedrooms or resident use space, and then it'll take you there. As always, feel free to reach out to us with any questions at any time that you guys might have. Our email is listed on this slide as well as our phone number. So if you ever have just questions about specifics or even just want ideas for um, various items, things that you're working through, we would love, love, love to talk with you. So reach out. And then a couple of announcements. Please notify our team of any updates to points of contact so we can just make sure that our database is up to date with who should be receiving information and who we can contact from your home. And then next Lunch and Learn will be on December 19th, and that will cover bathing. Thank you all for watching.